Spoken Labour. I haven't thought about flying for a long time. I haven't dreamed of that moment when I was alone above the clouds for a long time. I haven't dreamed of waking up in a room surrounded in blue and green grass for more years than I could dream of remembering. I haven't walked back into the past or scratched on the doors of my origins, where it all came from, since I held up that cape for the last time.
Return to Cape Town 10th Year Anniversary Edition is a revised version of Andian's first poetry book. The book can be purchased from Amazon and it contains numerous additional material.
Spoken Label. Hi, it's Andy N from Spoken Label. Thank you today for streaming or downloading another episode of Spoken Label. Spoken Label was originally set up on beginning of 2016 and as of speaking has currently nearly 300 sessions. The full archive is available on Spoken Label bandcamp.com. Although it is available for free for stream and download if you wish, I am always grateful for any sort of kind of donation to enable me to keep the running costs of this podcast going. And enjoy. Take care. Bye bye. Spoken Label.
Hi guys, Andy N, Spoken Label, back in the house on a Monday night. Yeah, it's been one of these weeks this week because, long story short, me and Amanda are both with COVID and we both feel like a dog's dinner at the moment. But everything's great for Spoken Label. So we're over to San Francisco today with a really interesting lady that contacted me at the back end of 2021. And it took us a couple months to get this one sorted out, but hey ho. Now I'm going to let the lady introduce herself. I know she's lived in a few places and got a heck of a story to tell us here today in relation to a book she's just bought out. So Laura, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody? Tell them obviously where you're from originally and where you are now, and we'll start from there.
Hi, Andy. So my name is Laura Formentini, and I'm originally from Milan, Italy. But I've lived in the States for, I would say, the majority of my adult life. And I've also lived in other places, including Africa and Central America. Currently, I'm in San Francisco in California.
Cool. Now, obviously, you told me before, you caught me out with that Milan thing. I wasn't expecting that because I've been to Milan myself twice a few years ago. And I loved it over there. I did. So when did you move to America?
So I moved when I was 20 years old, excuse me. And I moved for love and then I stayed. I went to college I lived in Missouri and then I lived in Colorado and then moved to California. But that's one of those stories where, I moved for love and got married and had 2 kids and I stayed.
It hooked you and grabbed you, as I always say, doesn't it? So definitely so. Now, you've contacted me originally, wasn't it? You've lived quite an interesting life here, really, because you have bought a book out, which I'll come on to shortly. But obviously, I want to learn first of all about all your traveling you've done. Because I know you've already told me you've lived in certain parts of Africa, haven't you? So, and I'm guessing you've done a fair bit of traveling all around there. Then, so what made you go to Africa?
Well, so basically my background is in archaeology and art history. I was always really interested in traveling, very curious in culture and anthropology and all of that. So I got into archaeology. I went on a lot of digs and did a lot of research for the university. But then I realized that the more I traveled, the more I saw the disproportion between rich and poor in the world. And that got me thinking. I thought, how about because traveling is really my main passion. Then I realized, well, how about I keep traveling, but traveling with a purpose. And so I started getting into photography, especially ethical photography, like nonprofit photography. And that took me to Africa. And Africa is something that changed my life completely. When I went the first time, I visited. I actually went on this really long 8-country trip that started in South Africa and it ended in Tanzania. And the poverty was striking, but what really stuck with me was the sense of community that I had never seen anywhere else. And you would see a lot of people who are poor but still smiling, and they just wanted to include you within their communities. And so that really was striking to me, especially after living in the so-called first world, where a sense of community is not necessarily something very common. So I got into that, and then that led me to learn how to fundraise. And the issue with me is that I'm an empath. I've always been empathic. So I've always been very highly sensitive to violence or all sorts of stuff that. So I've always wanted to really improve the situation wherever I went. And so I thought, after this first trip to Africa, I realized that I really wanted to do something and to make the world a kinder place. And so that's why I got into photography and the fundraising.
Yeah. Now, people obviously wonder at the fundraiser side of things. Is I know for a fact you've renovated an entire orphanage in Kenya, and also a rundown clinic in, is it Hawaii? I've got that right, have I? Or probably not.
Yeah, in Malawi. And then Malawi is a country in Southern Africa. It's a landlocked country. It's a very tiny country, but it's probably, I think it is the poorest in Africa. And what I saw down there was incredible. It was just the poverty was insane. And the clinic that I was able to fundraise for was very run down. The women would deliver their babies on these very old, beat up mattresses, and they did not have any surgical equipment, and it was insane. So I knew that I had to do something. So I fundraised for the surgical equipment, and then when I found myself again in another country in Africa, which was Kenya, I had a friend in Kenya. He said, "Hey, would you like to come up and see this children's home?" It's what we still call orphanage. And I went, and even that was appalling to see the way they were living, and bug infested beds, and it was incredible. But so I was able to do all of that, and it's, I never did it to get anything back. It was really a beautiful sense of accomplishment, and just to see their smiles. And they said, you came and you transformed this thing into a 3-star hotel. And I'm like, okay, that made my day, my month, my year. I'm still like appalled at, having been able to do that, and it was really a fun experience, and the kids were really awesome.
That sounds brilliant. No, it's brilliant when you do projects like that, because I've done a bit of charity work over here, not that level, what you've done. At the end of it, no matter what you've done, it's something that always stays with you, I think, for the rest of your life, really. And I think it shows as a people what we can do in society if we put our mind to it. And yours is a fantastic example.
Sure. I mean, it's something that I call random acts of kindness. It's, you see.
Yeah, that was my next point. That's my next question, actually. So I read that before in your blog. So tell us about that then next.
Yeah. So anyways, after a few years of doing photography work, I've, done photography work with several nonprofit organizations in Puerto Rico, in Costa Rica, and, in Africa. And, I thought that my life had taken the right course of action. I thought, well, this is it. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And, I had not written any books. I had not spoken. I had not done any of that stuff by then. But what happened was my life hits the turning point in 2019 when I was in Ethiopia, and I was collecting stories of positive transformation for, I just wanted to collect them and maybe, put together a journal. And I didn't even know, but it was just really interesting to find out how people were living there. And while I was in Ethiopia, it was August of 2019, I received the call that changed my life. And that was I received the call from my older son, who told me that my younger son had taken his life on the other side of the world. And so I obviously was distraught, and I didn't know what to do. I was there with a group of locals who could not, obviously I had to find a flight to go back to the States and drop everything that I was doing. I had no idea what to do. I did not know anybody specifically there. I knew the locals, but I did not have any friends of mine who could come back with me. So I had to fly back by myself. The locals did not even have a passport. So my tour leader, she said, listen, we can find you a flight to go back, but nobody in the group can stay with you all day long until your flight departs. There's a friend of mine who has volunteered to stay with you, though, and his name is Seifa. This is a beautiful Ethiopian man who shows up out of the blue, and he says, yes, I'm volunteering to be with you all day long until your flight departs. And I did find not just one flight, but 4 flights, because it was from Addis Ababa to Dublin, Ireland, Dublin to Boston, Boston to Denver. It was a 35-hour thing by myself. So I'm so crazy, crazy, crazy. But this amazing man shows up, the beacon out of the blue, that light, the angel that shows up. And he's like, holds my hand right away. And he calls me sister right away. Sister Laura, I'm here with you. Your son is okay right now. They're very religious down there. Your son is okay. Don't worry about him. He's in heaven. And I'm not religious, but, I could feel what he meant. He meant, don't worry. He meant to say, do not worry. I'm here for you. So he held my hand all day. You're talking 10 hours straight. Okay. Flight departs at 10 p.m. And when he takes me to the airport, I asked him, I said, why did you do all of this for me? You don't even know me. And he smiles and he says, I didn't do anything special, Laura. It was my human responsibility. So his presence, his voice, his kindness stayed with me. And I was able to make it on those flights thanks to him. Okay. Thanks to his kindness. And so basically, when I have seen him just one time, but we've kept in touch, and it's been over 2.5 years. Wow. But it's like we had always known each other, sort of like a brotherhood, a sisterhood of some sort. And his kindness, that prompted me when I came back to the US to write. I was like, wow, I am going to write about this experience. And so I started writing just 5 or 6 weeks after my son passed away. And, I started writing notes and poems and all sorts of stuff. And then eventually the notes and the poems turned into fables. And then the fables, from the fables to an introduction and the epilogue. And people told me, this is a book, you have to publish this. And so I would say that the stranger's kindness prompted me to pay his kindness forward. And so I wrote this book that helped me to heal myself. But at the same time, I wrote the book. This book is really crafted to help other people heal as well.
Of course. Now, I can see from the title of the book, it's worth discussing this next. The book itself is called 21 Olive Trees. And I know, obviously, your son was 21, obviously, when he sadly passed. what made you want to call it the title for this then?
Yeah, so I picked the olive tree because the olive tree is a symbol of strength and power and regeneration and peace. And so my idea, it just came to me. I had a dream about an olive tree because I was thinking, what am I going to call this? I knew that the 21 was very fitting, but I did not know exactly how. I knew that it had to be a special title, but so I had a dream of the olive tree, and that's why I decided to pick that. And also because I realized that I wanted to plant the 21 trees in his honor at a sanctuary, at a healing sanctuary somewhere. And I thought of the olive tree because it's powerful. It's a symbol of strength. And so and also of wisdom. And my son was very empathic, just like myself. He had a lot of wisdom to him. And so these are all I would say, the attributes that remind me of him.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, obviously, it says I'm just reading what's on your website here because it's this. I'll tell you, be honest now. When you chat to people like Laura, it's helpful because the website's that helpful. It gives me plenty of scope to ask you more questions. It's that easier for me. So, but yeah, I know. I can see at one point. Obviously, it does say you both lived together on 2 continents, travelled around the world together, didn't you? Often to remote and unusual places such as Lapland in northern Finland. What made you want to live in Lapland in northern Finland at one point?
Well, we both loved traveling, him and I. So him and I, just as a premise, we were very much like soulmates. You're talking about exactly the same people, exactly the same, very empathic, very curious. We both love traveling. And it was, we picked Lapland because we just traveled to Lapland. We never lived there. But we traveled there because he wanted to see something different for New Year's Eve. And so we said,
why not?
We spent Christmas in Bergen in Norway, and then we flew up there to Lapland, and it was just magical.
It's a fantastic. It sounds a great place to visit straight away with it. So no, it's brilliant. Now, obviously, I want to ask you about the book itself, and obviously, I can see from the book itself, obviously, there is then you've got it coming out as an audio book as well. I noticed it's been narrated by Courtney Patterson.
Right.
What was the experience like of hearing somebody else reading out your own book as an audio book?
It was beautiful. And every time I listen to the audiobook, it makes me cry because her voice is, well, I had to go over a few auditions, a few people auditioned for this. And it was not easy because all the people who auditioned were amazing. But I was really, I was looking for the perfect voice, perfect pitch. And that was hers. And I really loved it. And it's very moving to listen to it every time from beginning to end. So I didn't want to, I just wanted a professional narrator. And I knew it was not going to be easy to pick the right one, but I found her. So
yeah, of course. Now, I know you wouldn't have known this, but my wife's had several of her novels come out as audio books. I remember every time she tells me, every time she's had them come through, you get, when it's done well, you can really feel they had a different dimension to your book.
Yes.
That's what I was wondering about with that straight away. Now, I know, because I also know your book's been illustrated as well by, is it Marat Cooper? Now, tell us about how you met Marat then, and what made you want to illustrate this book.
Yeah, so Marit, she actually lives in Birmingham, in England.
Oh, and, cool.
I found her through a wonderful website for children's illustrators, actually. And even there, I had to go over a few auditions, but I knew from the get-go that it was going to be her. She's from Sweden and she's lived in England for, I think, 20 years. She's married to a to an Englishman, and we connected right away, her and I, because she knew that she wanted to work with someone interested in doing work with illuminated manuscripts. And that was her dream. And that was mine as well. I was really looking for someone who would do something within that sphere of work. And I couldn't believe it when she mentioned it. And I said, oh yes, that's it. And so I would say I hired her right away. I said, yep, within a week, she was on board, and we connected on everything.
I always believe for sometimes with people, and that's what I'm interested next to learn about yourself is, I'm always that sort of person who can work a person out in minutes of very, very, my first reactions usually pretty spot on. And I get the feeling from obviously both your audiobook narrator and also illustrator, that's where you are as a person as well. Right,
exactly. Yeah, we connected immediately, and I connected with the voice, and then I connected with her, with Marit's style, and it was perfect. I just knew right away. You just know, you just click.
Yeah, no, straight away, and I get you completely with that. So it's certainly like that. I wish I could look at the book, definitely, because it looks, I can see from the advanced reviews coming on this straight away. It looks like you've got something special, this book, coming straight away. And I'll put some, when we upload this podcast afterwards, I'm going to put some of them on there, let people see how this has affected people. Obviously, we love for your son and obviously what you've set out to do with this book. Now, obviously, book itself, obviously, we're recording this on the 10th of January, people are wondering, and the book actually comes out on the 11th, so this obviously will be a bit later. But
right.
Yeah, now obviously, what made you want to bring the book out beginning of 2022? Was there any reason for that, was it? Or?
Well, originally it was supposed to come out in October of 2021, but then I wanted to change a few things towards the end, and so it took a little bit longer than expected. So originally it was October, but then we moved it to January, and it was a good choice. It was worth waiting a little bit longer just to make those corrections and make sure. I just wanted to make sure it was basically, this book for me, it was just like giving birth another time. Let's put it that way. It was very it was exactly the same thing. And so when you're towards the end, you cannot wait to give birth. But you still have to wait a little longer. And that's exactly how I felt towards the end there. I knew that, we got a few more weeks here. So I just wanted to make sure that it would be perfect.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. Sometimes the wait is always better a book straight away. But I was good luck with it, definitely. So now, obviously, I know you've got you've doing bits and pieces, aren't you, in relation to this? You were telling me, obviously, about what you're doing tomorrow on the 11th as well, because obviously this will be well gone by then in relation to launching the book. So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
On the 11th?
Yeah, where you got some, we told me just before we started, well, I've forgotten it.
For the 11th, well, we're doing something virtual, and then we're just going to have a party. It's just a happy hour type of party. And the thing is, it was difficult to find the right bookstore because a lot of them are still understaffed, or it's been a little bit difficult this year because of COVID. And so I think that we're going to do a smaller event.
No, good luck with definitely with that. So I wish you all the best with it, definitely. Now, do you have any ideas where you want to go next? And can you envisage there being a second book in the future, maybe?
Yeah, I actually, I did finish another book, which is called Coming Home. And it's about my experience working at the orphanage. In fact, I collected the autobiographies of the kids. There's 120 kids at the orphanage, and I collected their biographies.
And right, so I was wondering about that because it's mentioned on your website. I wasn't sure that was a website exclusive or going another book, actually.
Yeah, and it's wonderful because the kids go from age 5 until about maybe 19, 20 years old. And the little ones who cannot read or write yet, they weren't able to obviously write their biographies. So the matron of the orphanage wrote it for them, knowing, their story, their histories. But mainly so it's a book about them living in this environment, how they survived a lot of hardship, and how they really they desire to be someone. One day they want to be a doctor, or they want to be an architect, and despite the really difficult situation in which they grew up. And they did not grow up with materialism, but they did grow up with a lot of love, and that's really what mattered. And that's what the book's about. So where there is love, there is life.
Yeah, I think it seems to sum you up quite well as a person, that. But obviously then, was that quite a different book to write then, was it?
Yeah, it was, this is the book that I just finished, 21 Olive Trees, is a mix of fiction and nonfiction. It's also a memoir. This specific book, Coming Home, is more nonfiction. So it's just straight nonfiction and memoir, but there's no fiction in it. So it's very different. This 21 Olive Trees is more about someone called it a testament to the power of storytelling and to a mother's love. So it's really about me. It's really my cathartic way of expressing myself in a melding of genres, whereas the Coming Home is just pure nonfiction.
Yeah, I get it completely. So good luck with both of them, definitely with that. So I wish you all the best of that, Laura. Now, to conclude, obviously, if people want to find out more about you, where are they best going?
So the book will be available worldwide obviously on Amazon, but in all the bookstores. So I do not, so far I only have the English edition, and I've been asked to sell the translation rights. And so most likely it'll be translated in different languages at some point within a couple of years, I'm assuming. But for now, in English, Amazon and all the bookstores worldwide.
It's good to me. Now, I know obviously you've got your own website as well. I've hinted at this enough as well. So is that the best place for people to go to if they want to read up about you otherwise?
Yes. So my website is www.Laura, Laura Formentini, FORMENTINI.com. And I'm also on Instagram at author Laura Formentini.
Fantastic. Right. Well, what we'll then do is that's all my questions. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back to everyone in 2 minutes. And Laura's going to read out a bit of the intro of this book, one of the fables, and a poem. So as I always say, spoken label, nice bit of variety. It's been a pleasure today, Laura. I've loved hearing your story. Lovely to meet you as well.
Thank you.
We'll see you in 1 minute.
Spoken label.
Hi, guys. Still here with the lovely Laura. It's over to her now. She's going to read out not 3 extracts, 4 extracts, even better. So renegotiated during the break. So look forward to it. Over to you, Laura, my friend.
I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. Walt Whitman. Why this book? Because a soulmate connection never dies. This book, 21 Olive Trees, A Mother's Walk Through the Grief of Suicide to Hope and Healing, is my personal journey of transformation following my son Blaze's suicide. The book traces my path from grief to understanding and healing, shown through a collection of 21 letters and poems I wrote to Blaze in the year after his untimely death. Before each of the letters is a fable narrative I wrote. The morals of each story reflect the wisdom Blaze and I gained during the years we spent living and traveling together. The fables take a playful, childlike, an intimate look at coping with loss and embracing acceptance that I hope will intrigue, inspire, give hope, and offer ways for readers to transform their own personal loss and pain into something beautiful. The title takes its name from the 21 olive trees, one for each year of Blaze's life, that I will plant at a healing center I am currently creating in his honor. The olive tree is a symbol that reflects all things about him, including peace, wisdom, immortality, and regeneration. My son Blaze was my soulmate and my partner in crime on many adventures. We lived together on 2 different continents and traveled seemingly everywhere around the world together, often to remote areas like Lapland in the northernmost region of Finland or the pyramids of Egypt. All the while, we had amazing and profound conversations about concepts like wisdom and folly, ate the craziest foods like scorpions on a stick in Cambodia, encouraged each other when we were afraid, and had as many moments of laughter and eccentricity as we did of confrontation. He was an incredibly sweet, generous, and ultra-sensitive soul. We had even planned to work together in the nonprofit field. I, as a philanthropist, would fundraise and tell stories through the documentaries he would create as a director. Because of our profound connection, it seemed like we'd both found our passions and shared the same enthusiasm for them. However, Blaze was also an empath. Empaths are known for absorbing energy from people and places, the good and the bad, and to not be able to distinguish where their own emotions end and the other person's begin. His highly sensitive soul couldn't handle the harshness of the world in which he lived. Unfortunately, because of these pressures and a drug addiction that I did not recognize, Blaze decided to take his own life. He left before realizing that his empathy was a gift. Empathy can heal. Empathy can bring about the changes that our society is so strongly in need of. I have never, ever experienced the same amazing bond that I had with Blaze with anyone else in my life. In fact, the bond between Blaze and I has grown stronger thanks to the great flow of energy that I feel still exists between us. Our soulmate relationship continues to this day as he acts as my muse to bring healing transformation into the world.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
The Weaver by Grant Coldfax Toller. My life is but a weaving between my God and me. I cannot choose the color he weaveth steadily. Oftentimes he weaveth sorrow, and I in foolish pride forget he sees the upper and I the underside. Not till the loom is silent and the shuttle cease to fly will God unroll the canvas and reveal the reason why. The dark threads are as needful in the weaver's skillful hand as the threads of gold and silver in the pattern he has planned. He knows, he loves, he cares. Nothing this truth can dim. He gives the very best to those who leave the choice to him. I have always really loved this poem by Grant Coldfax Toller. It speaks of God, the creative force behind everything, and the way he weaves our lives in the same way a tapestry is woven. How appropriate when I think of you and me. How appropriate when I know that every day you infuse me with beautiful, positive ideas and with the courage to keep going, even stronger than before. How appropriate when I never knew that we would be separated so early in the flesh, but united more than ever in spirit. How appropriate when we just can't control the outcome of anything. How appropriate when we learn to go with what the universe has envisioned for us all along.
Great stuff.
This is the fable, first fable, Camel and Spider. Once upon a time, Camel and Spider became friends as they crossed a great desert. Spider wasn't like the regular household spiders that annoy and scare you, or the small ones that take shelter in your bathtub and spin webs in the hardest to reach corners of your house. No, the spider was very, very different. You might shriek 5 times louder at the mere sight of Spider because the spider was a tarantula. And that meant she was bigger and hairier than any spider you've ever seen in your life. She was as big as your face, but her personality was as sweet as honey. But to Camel, Spider was tiny. If you know anything about crossing deserts, you know it can be a very lonely experience. When Camel and Spider met each other, even though one was very tall, although small in stature for most camels, and the other's very small, although very big compared to most spiders, they became fast friends. And good friends are hard to find. Camel slowed down to match Spider's pace, and Spider quickened hers to keep up with Camel. They were on a very important mission. They needed to get to the watering hole. If you know anything about deserts, you know water is very scarce and watering holes are very important. Animals have instincts for things that you and I don't. It's in their blood to be able to sniff out water and find it, but the oasis was still very, very far away. I don't think we'll ever find the water hole, Camel said. Why? Spider sweetly asked. Camel said, well, we've been traveling for days and days and days and days and days and days. Spider joined in, and days and days and days and days. But we can see the sun and have sought great shelters at night. We've been so very lucky. Camel snorted and then spit. Not because he was annoyed at all. It's just what camels do. Camels are actually quite patient, kind, and most of all, they're very, very smart. You found the shelter, not me, Camel said. He said this because he didn't like it very much when Spider disappeared at night. He missed Spider when she did what spiders do in the desert, burrow underground. He also was very afraid of the dark. Spider caused Camel a great amount of stress and worry during their nights together. Every night he wondered if Spider would come out of her hole in the morning. So Camel treated every day of their friendship as if it were their last. This meant he was always on his best behavior and Spider was always dear to Camel. Camels don't burrow into holes in the sand. They are too big. Instead, they lay in the sand. Camel loved laying in the light of the full moon most of all. And that night, the moon was the fullest it had ever been because the moon was very close to the earth. Good night, Camel, Spider said. Good night, Spider, Camel said. Spider burrowed into the sand and disappeared. All the night, Camel worried. He sat there in the light of the moon and watched the sand dunes, calm and beautiful, ripple like waves on an ocean of land. He would never see the dunes with Spider at night. He sighed. Somehow, the beauty of the desert didn't seem real unless he shared it with Spider. Still, the moon was round like Spider, and so he talked to the moon all night as if Spider was right beside him. Finally, the sun rose. Good morning, Camel, Spider said. Good morning, Spider, Camel said. His heart felt as full as the moon when she dug herself out of the burrow. They set back out on their way across the desert. Spider's 8 hairy, nimble legs moved oh so quickly compared to Camel's huge hooves. I think we're almost there, Spider said. You always say that, Camel said. Well, we get a little closer every day, Spider said. Then a terrible wind stirred up the desert. The storm lasted for days and days and days, and the wind blew Spider away, far, far away. Camel went in search of Spider in the harsh wind, but his eyes got pelted with little grains of sand, and so all he could do was wait until it was over. He waited and waited and waited and waited. He hated waiting and waiting and waiting. When all finally felt calm, Camel yelled, "Spider, Spider, where are you?" Spider did not answer. She was very, very far away, no telling where. Camel went all over the desert trying to find her. He hoped he would come upon her like he did the very first time they met. As she scurried up a sand dune and then slipped back down the sand, she loved to play. The nights were long, but at least he had the moon to keep him company. He talked to Spider through the moon and told her about his day. "I miss you," Camel said, longing for his friend. Finally, Camel set off for the watering hole again. Camels, unlike spiders, can go for great distances in the desert without needing water, but even Camel had grown desperately thirsty. It took 5 more days for Camel to reach the watering hole. As he sat by the banks of the watering hole, surrounded by palm trees, he felt so happy and sad at the same time. Spider and Camel had talked about this moment for a very long time, but at this moment, Camel felt like only half a camel. Spider helped him feel whole, so he only felt a deep sadness instead of what should have been great pleasure as he licked up the fresh water. He drank and drank and drank and got so tired he took a nap. When he woke up, Spider had crawled on his nose to take a nap. Niltim, the sylph of the air, had made sure that Spider's journey landed her safely in the oasis. "Spider, you're here! What took you so long?" Spider said. "I've been waiting for you. I looked everywhere for you." "Too bad camels can't fly," Spider said. "The wind blew me here so very far, so very fast. All I had to do was relax. I missed you. You've taken a very long time to get here." "I didn't walk as fast without you," said Camel. "Silly Camel, I'm right here with you, even when I'm not with you." Camel looked at the moon, visible in the afternoon sky. "You're in the moon. You're in every grain of sand. I can't see anything without seeing you, Spider."
Really, and that's really evocative, that piece, Laura. Excellent stuff.
Thank you. And I would like to read you the first poem and the very last poem, so you can see the differences in the two in my journey of my process of healing. This is the very first. Very first is "One thing," and this is pretty raw. "One thing that makes me so pissed off is you leaving me like this. How could you do that? You got consumed and burned yourself to death for no reason when you truly had it all. I can't say that I did not try my very best with you, and my very best is the best of the best. I go to the edges of the world to accomplish what I want to accomplish, and you know that. I am so hurt. I am so hurt, because my love for you was the best, and it still is. But you are no longer there to listen and no longer there to take from me. With a smirk, you left me in this motionless reality that makes no sense. Without you talking to me, without you driving me crazy, and without you making me comfortable with my choices. The smell of gunpowder permeates my nostrils and screams words of helplessness, although I shake my head, clearly knowing that you are here, molded into the everything and into this perfect nothingness.
Well, that is pretty raw. Wow, but powerful.
The very last one is "What difference does it make?" What difference does it make if you are here in the flesh or in spirit, knowing that you have always existed and always will? What difference does it make knowing that we have always been connected and always will be in one way or the other? What difference does it make knowing that you have now transformed and that here on earth, your light will keep on shining upon those who have lost theirs? I thank you for your support. I thank you for your love, and especially, I thank you for your light. Your mom in this lifetime, your friend forever.
Brilliant. That's a great way. It's really great. It shows the difference between your journey and the two poems that begin to the end. That's tremendous, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys and girls. Well, that's it for today now. Now, I think we've worn Laura out there completely with all that reading, fantastic reading she's done to us there. So we'll let her go and calm down now. But seriously, Laura, thank you for coming on today. It's been a pleasure. And good luck with the book.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Right. Okay, guys and girls. But I said before, that's it for today. So, as I always say, as Don Callis at Impact Wrestling says, stay safe and stay over. And we'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Spoken Label.